Elizabeth from GH-Aviation. How do you see aviation in Ghana now?
Aviation in Ghana over the last several years has seen significant growth, largely because of certain policies that the Ghana government has put in place by opening up the market not only to Ghanaian and African carriers but to all carriers operating into Ghana. Now, as a result of that, we have seen an increase year on year on the volume of traffic coming into the country. That has also given rise to some extent, partnerships emerging in the country with local aviation operators. I must say that the ability to really take advantage of government policies in Ghana with regards to aviation has lacked a bit, partly because of the inadequate capacity of local operators to take on the volume of traffic that is coming in, or to complement the volume of traffic that is being brought in by other operators. It is actually my wish that the aviation industry, which is forecast to continue to grow significantly, not only in Ghana but across Africa, and Ghana being a signatory to the Single African Air Transport Market, that we would see more airlines coming, and we will see strengthened local capacity to be able to take advantage of regional distribution and mopping up of traffic to support local aviation. The aviation industry in Ghana is probably one of the well-organized markets. This is because there is a high level of transparency between the regulator, the airport operator, and the users of the aviation infrastructure in the country. This is not very common in many African countries, but in Ghana, anytime there is a need to adjust taxes, charges, or fees at the airport, there is adequate consultation. We have also realized that the government of Ghana has been listening to the industry and the industry stakeholders. And even though it took us a long time to convince the government of Ghana that aviation fuel was more expensive in Ghana than its neighboring countries, and there was a need for the country to reduce taxes on aviation fuel to make aviation fuel more competitive in the country. I was happy that a few years back, the government of Ghana finally yielded and saw reason, and they took off some taxes from aviation fuel. As a result of that, volumes of fuel uplift from Ghana increased by over 50%. And I was at the Ghana Air Show where the president himself actually alluded to the increase in the volume of fuel as a result of the reduction in the tax. It is something that we would want to encourage, that governments should actually be more open and listen to the industry, because it is the industry that brings in the business. And if you listen to the industry, you stand to prosper. We have always said it's not just only in Ghana but across Africa. Governments should create the enabling environment. That is the role of government. Make sure you create a competitive environment for the aviation industry in your country. And what do I mean? If there are any regulations that do not support aviation, or that are not properly aligned with other complementary regulations to support aviation growth and development, government needs to review such regulations and ensure that there is proper alignment so that aviation business can thrive. For instance, we have situations in some of the African countries where government says we want to be the most attractive tourist destination in our sub-region. And Ghana has always said that we want to be the hub of West Africa. But I feel disappointed that you want to be the most attractive hub in the sub-region. However, there are other policy decisions that negate this otherwise laudable idea. In other words, for you to be the aviation hub in West Africa, you need to be the most competitive. In other words, so the cost of operations into Ghana must be the lowest in the region. The cost of aviation fuel has to be low. You need to promote aggressively tourist attractions. The cost of visas must be low. We have a situation where Ghana yielded to the AU decision to allow all Africans to acquire visas on arrival, and said now all Africans can get visas on arrival. But the cost is prohibitive. I tell you, in Europe, $150 US is the cost of a ticket between cities. But this is just the cost of a visa. So if we want to be the hub, if we want to attract more tourists, if we want to develop aviation, it's these sort of regulations and policy decisions that we need to align to make sure that we are doing the right thing and we become the most competitive. As we are today, we are not very competitive, and we need to do something to really make Ghana outshine the rest.
What measures can Ghana put in place to enlarge the aviation market?
Regulatory alignment is one of them. Making the industry more competitive is another. Ghana does not promote the country. I must admit, I have been to many countries, I have been to many international trade fairs and functions. I have seen the contributions of other countries and the attractions, the promotion of tourist attractions in their countries, but in many of those, Ghana is always absent. If you showcase your country, if you showcase the attractiveness of your country and its attractions, you encourage other people to want to visit to see them. The relation between aviation and tourism is symbiotic. You cannot take away aviation from tourism. Globally, we say that research has shown that 52% of all international tourists arrive by air. In Africa, this, depending on the country, can go as much as 80% of tourists arrive by air, depending on the country. So to that extent, if you take out aviation from tourism or take out tourism from aviation, you actually would be doing a disservice to the industry. And you will not be promoting either of the two. And it is for this reason that states need to have a proper alignment and a working relations between the aviation sector and the tourism sector. And all the other government and government-related agencies that work with these two areas, so that we can be able to bring everybody into alignment and make sure that we become more competitive. Because as we are today, we are not as competitive as we should be. And I've always said that as a country, Ghana should benchmark itself against its neighbors and against the region. The most attractive part of Ghana's tourism is cultural tourism. But it's not only Ghana that has culture. Other African countries have culture as well, and they also promote their culture. So why should someone choose Ghana cultural tourism against other countries to cultural tourism? Only if it is competitive. There must be a compelling reason, and we need to give out that compelling reason to other people to make income.
Okay, sir. The private investor, how does he fit in this regards with region of aviation and tourism in Ghana?
The private investor has a big role to play because today, if you look at our tourism sector, in many of the African countries, tourism is largely either subsidized or directly promoted by government. Now, you would want to encourage private participation and active participation at that, so that they can bring in the resources, they can bring in the network, they can bring in the interlinkages and the promotion, so that we can be able to drive the business beyond what it is today. Because the private sector capital is what will make the business grow. Without that, we will not be able to promote tourism, and we will not be able, by extension, to attract more passengers onto our flights. So we need government and private sector capital to work together. But government will need to have the regulatory framework right, because private investors invest because they want return on their investments. So unless they are sure that they are going to get return on their investments, they will not come. So we need to structure the regulations in such a way that it favors them investing, repatriating their earnings, and being able to grow the business in the country and expand. That way, it gives them an incentive and a reason for them to be there.